So if there was ever any evidence of the trees being petrified and cut down, this is probably it. This place right here I hunted down. It's called Momo's Wing, and it's in Nevada. For a long time, the location was kept hidden, but it's in the southwest with lots of other petrified-looking old palaces, giants, or beings. Like all my videos, we're going to talk about lots of other things. If there was ever anything that looked like a giant axe still resting on top of a giant tree stump that was cut down, this surely is it. There's lots of places that look like giant petrified tree stumps. We know petrification is a process from cataclysmic events that can happen instantly. Places like Devil's Tower and places all over the world. Also, side note, lots of places around the world have the ominous Devil's title or other similar title, and they all seem to be connected with supernatural events or magnetic anomalies. Also, lots of land masses such as Hawaii that look like they could be giant beings, which they explored in the Moana movie, or just mountains in general that look like they could be old giants, like some of the pictures you see here. So a question one might naturally have is, why were the trees cut down? One theory explores the idea that angels were told to cut the trees down so that the giants would not climb the trees during the flood, although I'm not sure about that one. Could the reason the trees have been cut down tie into why there's no longer bells and the tons and tons of bells that were cracked, destroyed, removed, and no longer exist to clear the atmosphere? Are we looking at a scenario like that with the trees, the giant, oxygenating, life-expanding friends of humanity? It's all a big mystery, but that's what we're here to explore. Speaking of mysteries, on a U.S. mystery conspiracy road trip that you'll be seeing coming soon, one of the places I explored was Mount Rushmore, and I found an even more interesting mystery than the reason I was there. If you explore these pictures, it looks actually like Mount Rushmore is a giant herd of clustered, petrified mammoths. Check it out. Are there any other evidence or mammoths or giant elephants petrified around the realm? Let's take a look. There's one, for example. Also, there's a documentary about uncovering a titan where they go deep into the science of possibly a giant elephant. Clues, reminders, and messages from the past. What do they mean for us still here today? I think one of them is the Dead Sea, which is probably where Sodom and Gomorrah happened, which we've explored recently and talked about how that reset pattern results in instant petrification or beings turning into pillars or mountains or salt. Also, the Dead Sea is the lowest place on Earth, so in connection with portals to the underworlds, when you're floating in the Dead Sea or at the Dead Sea, you're actually closest to the underworld than any other place on Earth. And the reason why the Dead Sea is like that chemically has to do with the sulfuric meteor rain down and things you read about in the Sodom and Gomorrah story, the reset pattern, that also results in the petrification we're talking about. Which also, if you explore places like the Grand Canyon or the Southwest, it looks like they're a bunch of just petrified palaces. Speaking of petrified palaces, we'll close with a really fascinating mystery. The place known as Petra in the Middle East, with literally Petra as the prefix for petrified. Petra meaning the rock, which was also why Peter was named Peter, and they called him the Rock. But anyway, Petra ties in with Judgment Day. If you didn't know, there's passages where Jesus, on his return making his way back into the Mount of Olives, it says he'll be in a battle at Idumea and at Bozrah. You can check it out in Isaiah and other Old Testament passages that tie into Judgment Day and the return. It says he fights a battle at Bozrah, where he alone treads the winepress, and his garment is pretty much stained with blood from the battle that he fought alone. It also says where you see here where the palaces of Bozrah will be petrified pretty much, or burnt to a crisp. Where is Bozrah, you might ask? Let's check it out on a map. If you look at Bozrah, seems to be Petra. Speaking of petrified palaces or burnt palaces, that's probably what Petra is. Also in Jordan, the place Bosarea, which is really close to Petra, is just a bunch of rubble. So if Petra does tie in with this prophecy of Bozrah, which it seems like it does, that invokes a whole new mystery about the millennial reign. Where are we really living? By the way, the post-millennial reign theory is not the preterist view. Are we in Satan's little season? We'll be exploring that coming up. In the meantime, ponder what all these messages from the past are really saying. See you next time for more mysteries on The Savage Truth.